behind the walls of Zhongnanhai? Who holds the real power now? What secrets leaked from the Fujian carrier's grand debut? And who's already been anointed as Beijing's next ruler? Hu Chunhua or Wang Yang? Welcome back to Final War with Katherine Hu. It's been 3 weeks since Beijing wrapped up the Fourth Plenary Session, this year's most consequential political meeting. But behind the polished headlines and choreographed speeches, something much deeper is shifting. Who actually holds the reins of power in Beijing right now? What's the real hierarchy inside the top circle? What concrete signs show that Xi is no longer in command of either the party or the military? These questions matter because they don't just define the fate of the so-called Yu Monlong case. They define whether the Chinese people can finally break free from the structure that has ruled them for decades. That's why every episode of Final War is built on confirmed intelligence, not rumors or emotion. And this one is critical. So fasten your seatbelts. Let's head straight into the heart of Beijing's power. Many viewers were puzzled. Why wasn't there an official statement announcing Xi's resignation after the Fourth Plenary Session? If he's still appearing in public, does that mean he's still in charge? To understand this, we need to see the picture through the eyes of the man now quietly shaping the outcome. Hu Jintao, the former leader who has re-emerged as the party's paramount elder. Whose lifelong instinct is never air the family's dirty laundry. Even when the party is at war with itself, the outside world must see a facade of unity. In Hu's worldview, the party has no human emotion, only rules of survival. It was his insistence on a stable transition that allowed Xi to remain on stage, performing the illusion of control while real power moved elsewhere. Many people may find this logic hard to understand. Why must the current leadership arrangement in Beijing follow Hu Jintao's will? If we compare this structure to Imperial China, Xi resembles the disgraced emperor, and Hu Jintao, the retired emperor now returning to restore order. A decade ago, Hu handed Xi absolute authority. Now, after years of domestic crises and international backlash, Hu has stepped back into the arena, not to reclaim power, but to prevent the party's internal system from imploding. Since Jiang Zemin's passing away, Hu's influence has eclipsed that of every other elder. If anyone else had dared to demand Xi hand over control, Xi would have destroyed them under the charge of insubordination. Only Hu Jintao had the stature and the loyal generals to make it happen. During his years as head of the Central Military Commission, Hu promoted many of today's key commanders, including General Zhang Youxia. Today, the Chinese military takes orders only from Hu Jintao. As for the other elders, the generals barely know them, and there's simply no bond of trust. But Hu Jintao is now 83, old, frail, and long withdrawn from public life. He spends most of his days in quiet seclusion, meeting almost no one. That is why the Central Party decision-making and coordination body was reformed under the leadership of his longtime partner, Wen Jiabao, with Wang Yang overseeing the daily operations. Hu Jintao and General Zhang Youxia are not official members of this body, yet whenever a major decision arises, the three of them, Hu, Wen, and Zhang, still meet to settle the final course. Hu has always insisted on collective decision-making, and in practice, he almost always accepts the recommendations of Wen and Zhang, including the crucial one made during the Fourth Plenary Session, that she stepped down as both General Secretary of the party and Chairman of the Central Military Commission. A quiet but historic power shift has already taken place in Beijing. Since June 2025, the Central Party decision-making and coordination body has replaced the Politburo Standing Committee as the real center of authority. This is now the body that runs the Chinese state. At the top sits Wen Jiabao, acting as overall coordinator. Wang Yang oversees day-to-day party affairs, essentially functioning as acting general secretary. On the military side, General Liu Yuan serves as acting chairman of the Central Military Commission, managing command and defense. Behind this trio stands the shadow council of Hu Jintao and Zhang Youxia, who still make the final calls on all major decisions. Together, they form the core of what insiders call the new triple-pillar structure of party, government, and military. In simple terms, Hu Jintao represents party authority, Wen Jiabao represents the administrative authority, Zhang Youxia represents the military authority. This coordination body is transitional by design. Its mission is to steer the system away from Mao-era radicalism and back toward the pragmatic line of Deng Xiaoping, to rescue the economy and stabilize the party ahead of the 21st National Congress in 2027. That's when Hu Chunhua, Hu Jintao's hand-picked successor, is expected to formally take the helm. Hu Chunhua has already begun stepping into government management, but because Hu Jintao demands a smooth transition, every move is incremental. The change is real but deliberately quiet, visible only to those inside the system. Hu Jintao's energy is limited now, and his attention stays fixed on one thing: personnel. In his mind, politics is a matter of placement. Put the right people in the right seats, and the system will repair itself. After last year's Third Plenary Session, some of the economic measures drafted by Wen Jiabao and Wang Yang quietly went into effect. But China's problems run deep. Decades of mismanagement can't be undone overnight. Aside from a flicker in the stock market, the economy remains trapped in a deflationary spiral that no one yet knows how to reverse. As for the political reform that Wen and Wang have long envisioned, Hu Jintao has raised no objection. His stance is simple and absolute. So long as the party's monopoly on power remains untouched, reform may proceed. Wang Yang can experiment, and when Hu Chunhua takes the stage at the 21st Party Congress in 2027, the process may even continue. But one boundary will never be crossed. The party's ruling position is not open for debate. Of course, many still doubt this transition is real. Let's look at what's been happening inside Beijing. The visible cracks that reveal just how far Xi's power has already faded. Sometimes, the end of an era reveals itself in a single line of text, or in this case, a 41-second gap. On November 3rd, China's official state outlet, Xinhua News, released not one, but two reports on the military study of the Fourth Plenary Session. Their timestamps were only 41 seconds apart. Yet that 41-second gap shook Beijing's inner circle like an aftershock. The two reports contradicted each other. A tiny crack on the surface that revealed a massive fracture beneath Zhongnanhai. And through that fracture, one truth became visible. The Xi era had come to an end. At 6:32 p.m., on the evening of November 3rd, Xinhua News Agency released the first of those two reports. Its central figure was General Zhang Youxia, Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission and the single most powerful man in China's military today. In that version, you could still catch faint traces of Xi's presence. Phrases that once defined his era, like resolutely uphold the two establishes, were still there, clinging to the page like the last embers of fading power. But just 41 seconds later, before anyone had even finished reading the first report, at 6:33 p.m., Xinhua quietly uploaded a second one. Same meeting, same reporter, same general. But one thing was missing. The phrase "the two establishes," the defining symbol of Xi's personal authority, was gone. Erased from the record as if the system itself had begun editing him out. You might be wondering, what exactly does this slogan, "the two establishes," mean? And why does it matter so much? It's simple enough to find out. Type it into Google, and here's what comes up.
To establish Xi as the core of the Central Committee and of the entire party, and to establish Xi thought as the guiding ideology of the new era.
These two lines are not ordinary slogans. They are the political DNA of the Xi era, the words that defined his absolute status inside the party, and were once hailed as the decisive guarantee for China's so-called national rejuvenation. Inside CCP politics, such formulaic phrases are never random. They are coded signals. Their presence or disappearance tells you who's really in charge. So when those characters vanished, it meant only one thing. The party had moved away from one-man rule toward a new form of collective leadership. That 41-second edit marked the symbolic end of Xi's dominance. On November 5th, Xi personally attended what should have been a triumph, the official commissioning of the Fujian aircraft carrier, China's first domestically built supercarrier equipped with electromagnetic catapults. It was meant to symbolize national strength and Xi's personal legacy. Instead, it raised deeper questions about whether he still commanded the system at all. Because almost everything about the event was abnormal. First, anomaly. A delayed announcement. The ceremony took place on November 5th, but Xinhua News didn't release the report until 2 days later, on the afternoon of November 7th. That delay alone broke decades of protocol. When the Liaoning and Shandong carriers were commissioned, state media released front-page coverage immediately, complete with military parades and nationalistic fanfare. Remember, China has only 3 aircraft carriers, and each one marks a turning point in the party's military ambition. In 2012, the Liaoning carrier entered service, China's very first carrier, breaking a century-old zero, though it was a refurbished import. In 2019 came the Shandong carrier, the first one built at home, a symbol of self-reliance and pride. And now the Fujian carrier, the first carrier powered by electromagnetic catapults, ending the ski jump era once and for all. A technical upgrade? Yes, but more than that, it was meant to stand as a political upgrade, the flagship of Xi's legacy at sea. Everyone in Beijing knows this. The Fujian carrier was Xi's personal project, conceived, approved, and pushed through under his direct command. Even the name Fujian carries a message. It points straight across the Taiwan Strait toward confrontation with US carrier groups. By that logic, the propaganda treatment for this event should have been far grander than the last two, but it wasn't. And that silence spoke louder than any headline. Second anomaly, the wrong man hosted it. According to official releases, Zhang Shengmin, vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, accompanied Xi and presided over the ceremony. But that's irregular. Traditionally, major combat readiness events must be hosted by the vice chairman responsible for military operations, General Zhang Youxia. This time he was missing. That's not just a scheduling issue, it's a statement. Zhang Youxia's absence signals that he refused to endorse Xi's Taiwan confrontation project. Moreover, since Xi can no longer command the military, it is Zhang who now decides who attends such ceremonies and who does not. Third anomaly, only one full general showed up. Normally, a carrier commissioning is a grand military showcase. By regulation, it should include top commanders, the heads of the Joint Staff Department, the Equipment Development Department, the Southern Theater Command, and the Navy. When the Shandong carrier was commissioned in 2019, at least 6 full generals appeared beside Xi. This time, only one, Zhang Shengmin. Even that was procedural. He had to be there as host. All others were absent. It was the most visible sign yet that the military's loyalty had quietly shifted away. Fourth anomaly, key rituals were cancelled. In 2019, after the Shandong carrier ceremony, Xi reviewed the honor guard, walked the red carpet, and met hundreds of carrier officers and engineers for a massive group photo. This time, none of it happened. State TV showed a short clip of Xi boarding the Fujian carrier, listening to a briefing and greeting a few crew members. The only photo released by Xinhua news agency showed Xi surrounded by about 20 people, pilots and deck crew in colored vests. For a leader who once demanded absolute loyalty from the military, that image said everything. What does all this tell us? Is Xi's power now stronger than ever? Or has it quietly shrunk beyond recognition? The facts are right there. You can decide for yourself. As we noted earlier, Hu Jintao, the party's senior elder, has made no secret of his intention. He wants Hu Chunhua to take over 2 years from now. And after the Fourth Plenary Session, Hu Chunhua's position began to look very different. His presence, his rank, his visibility, all pointed to someone rising above the rest. After the session closed in October, several Politburo Standing Committee members, including Li Qiang, Tsai Chi, and Wang Huning each published signed articles. It was the first time in 13 years that anyone other than Xi had been allowed to do so. That alone confirmed a return to collective leadership, not the one-man hierarchy that defined the Xi era. But what drew even more attention was Hu Chunhua's move. He published his own signed article before all of them, and he's not even a standing committee member. The timing wasn't an accident, it was choreography. Hu Chunhua's article read less like a subordinate's praise and more like a leader's inaugural tone. He opened with,
"We must earnestly study and implement the spirit of the plenary session."
Who is this we? And by what authority does Hu Chunhua speak on behalf of we? Later, his wording towards Xi sounded like a performance review rather than a tribute, evaluating, not worshipping. It was the language of succession, not submission. Even the substance of his essay went far beyond his rank. He laid out a full strategic vision for the next 5-year plan, precisely what a future leader would do. This wasn't the first public signal. Back in August, Hu Chunhua attended the 60th anniversary celebration of the Tibet Autonomous Region, inspecting the Yarlung Changpo hydropower project and the Sichuan-Tibet Railway, 2 flagship projects of Xi's tenure. Since then, he's appeared in Yajiang and Changchun, representing Beijing at regional economic forums. And during these appearances, state media began using a new phrase, 春华秋实, literally spring blossoms, autumn fruits. The wordplay on his last name, Chunhua, was no coincidence. The party's propaganda system never does coincidence. Such repetition is a controlled rollout, gradually familiarizing the public with the name destined to take center stage. In short, Xi has already stepped aside, a fact quietly acknowledged within the top tier of the party. During this 2-year transition, the central party decision-making and coordination body holds real power. Hu Jintao, Wen Jiabao, and Zhang Youxia make the final decisions, while Wang Yang, Hu Chunhua, and Liu Yuan handle daily execution across the party, government, and military. This is Beijing's new architecture of power. The question is, will the peaceful transition envisioned by the elders truly happen on schedule? Will the new leadership, now holding the reins, answer the voices of millions who still long for freedom and dignity? And will they carry out the hardest task of all, to lead China through a peaceful transformation of its system? We'll be watching. Get the real story behind the CCP's shifting power games and see where US-China relations are headed next. Support the vision of a new China without communism. Subscribe now and join us in bringing the truth to light.